Good morning, guys. Bonnie here, ER doctor turned marriage coach. And I hope that you're having a wonderful morning. I hope that you slept great and that you're ready to attack the day. Hey, I want to tell you a story about my dad. He passed away a year and a half ago, but when he died, he had had a transplanted kidney in his body working until the day he died. He'd had that for 45 years. So that's remarkable. But the story that I want to tell you is when he was young, like in his early to mid 20s, maybe, he was having a test done and they had put an IV in his arm and they were starting to give him some fluid and he could feel this burning coming all the way up his arm and going through his body, and he was just kind of bracing himself for it. It was excruciating. And then the technician came by and said, "Okay, Mr. Bonnie, we're going to get started here in a minute." And the pain went away. But you see, that's how powerful that's how powerful our minds are. Like, we can create in ourselves sort of this idea of what's happening. We can anticipate, and then we can see what's there even if it's not, because that's what we thought. So I want to talk a little bit today about which room are you staying in with your spouse. Are you staying in the appreciation room, or are you hanging out in the depreciation room? And if your marriage is not on fire and amazing, I'm going to guess that you and your spouse probably spend a lot of time devaluing one another. You think that could be true? Like, do you tend to notice every day all those things that she does that just annoy the crap out of you? Or do you happen to always pay attention to the fact that he never picks his dirty laundry up off the floor? Like, we notice those things and we log them, catalog them, right? You might even be able to regurgitate back to me an entire list of things that have happened in the past week that did not set well with you. Well, if that's the case, and those things are probably true, you're spending time in the depreciation room. It's not going to bless your marriage. You see, there's a principle out there that what we look for, we find. And so if you want to look for deficiencies in your spouse, if you want to look for deficiencies in me and how I speak to you, you're going to find them. They're there. Every time I get on here, I have to clear my throat. I don't think I'm nervous. I just think, I don't know, I got the phlegm. But you're going to notice that. You're going to be like, oh, I don't like him. He didn't have anything good to say because he's clearing his throat, and I don't like the books in the background. And they're right. So you can find deficiencies. And maybe you're that kind of person. Like, you find them everywhere. I feel bad for you if you are. But the opposite is true. So if we're going to really take the time to notice our spouse's strengths, there were strengths there. You married this fella for some reason. So there had to have been strengths. There had to have been chemistry. And people don't change that much over time. I get it. Some of you maybe got duped by this incredible con artist, but that's not common. Come on. The writing was there. You overlooked the things that you now don't like. You overlooked the things that now you find annoying. But it's kind of on you. You overlooked them. And now when life gets hard, we don't want to overlook those things. We want to notice them. Because I tell you what, when we're having pain in our lives, we want a face to assign to that. We don't want it to be the face that's in the mirror. We want it to be someone else's face. And who's better face than the one we share a bed with? So a lot of this has to do with your focus. If you start today with a heart of gratitude, if you start noticing the things about your spouse that are good qualities, right? Maybe she goes to a job that she doesn't really want to go to provide for the family. Appreciate that. Don't just accept like, well, that's what she has to do. No, recognize her for that. Write her a note, shoot her a text. Hey, I know your job kind of sucks right now, but thanks for being there. Thanks for doing that. Thanks for bringing in the income that we need for our family. You know, everything will change if you do that. Now, there is a principle that I want to stress to you. Yes, I do believe that gratitude is the antidote to misery, but the principle is why this might not work right away when you start doing it. See, there's this idea out there called negative sentiment override, not sentiment, negative sentiment override. And you might be the victim of it, or you might be the perpetrator of it, or both. And you got to take a look at your life and figure out if that's the case. Now, what is negative sentiment override? Well, it's basically where your spouse starts doing good things, like recognizing you for whatever you're doing in life, and they want to be appreciative. They want to stay in the appreciation room, and you just dismiss it. Well, I think he probably just wants to have sex tonight. That's why he's doing that. Or he got me flowers because he must have done something wrong and I haven't figured it out yet. And so you got to be aware of this trap. And so if you're the one doing the good deeds, you're the one that's listening to this video and staying in the appreciation room and recognizing your spouse and complimenting him or her, or leaving little notes or shooting a text or buying a card. And you're getting that feedback of like, well, I don't know why you're doing this. Expect it. See, we can make this into a game. Just anticipate it. And when it happens, be like, okay, one for D. Bonnie. He saw this coming. But here's what you do with that. You persevere, right? And that negative sentiment override is going to be like a rubber band. And it's being stretched. And your spouse is holding on to their negative sentiment override. But eventually, love prevails. Now they finally give up. They finally see that you're just being kind because you love them. You don't have an ulterior motive. Yeah, maybe the ulterior motive is I want to have a wonderful relationship with you. That's fine. But you're not doing this for personal gain. You're doing it to promote the relationship. And that's wonderful. But you got to persevere through that. You don't get to stay in the appreciation room one day with your spouse, be the victim of negative sentiment override, and then say, well, that didn't work. That's stupid. I knew there was a reason I didn't like his background. He doesn't have anything good to say. No, you got to persevere. Your marriage did not end up average overnight, and it's not going to change overnight. It can change pretty quickly, but you got to start doing these principles, right? And so remember that gratitude is the antidote to misery. So if you find yourself in a funk, get out a piece of paper and start writing out things that you're grateful for. If you're feeling ill towards your spouse, get out a piece of paper. You open the notes section on your phone and start writing down things that you do appreciate about your spouse. I appreciate that she bathes daily. I appreciate that he helps clean up the dishes. I appreciate that she empties the litter pan. We have a cat now in our home. And so that's a new thing. And Megan's sort of taken over and emptied the litter pan. I've not done it one time, and that's not good for me. But she stepped in and done it, and I don't think about it yet. So I apologize. I got to get better. Hopefully she's standing in the appreciation room and she appreciates other things that I do. But I'll get better about taking care of the cat's litter. But I'm just saying, like, you guys can do this. You can learn these skills, right? No one is born just knowing all of this. But taking the time to listen to this, shameless plug, clicking the share button, right? That's key. That'll help you remember better. On YouTube, subscribe, right? And if you want to be involved as a founding member of our membership area on dbonnie.com, shoot me an email, d@dbonnie.com, and I'll tell you what that looks like. But the monthly rate's reduced in half, and you can help me build this platform, and you can help me grow it, and you can even monetize that for yourself. So anyway, I love you guys. I hope this is helpful. Go kill it today. Move rooms. Go from the depreciation room to the appreciation room. And send your spouse some encouragement and expect them to kind of be like, I don't know what she's doing, but okay. All right. Have a wonderful day, guys.